I'm Catherine McCrindle. I'm a trainee solicitor at DTM Legal. I started here in September 2023 and I'm coming up to the end of my training contract now.
Hi, my name is Laura Moore. I am also a trainee at DTM Legal, also due to qualify in March this year. In my last seat now, which is Trusts and Estates, and that's where I'm hoping to qualify. So I have been wanting to progress for quite some time, so I've been paralegal for quite a few years. I think DTM came on my radar purely through word of mouth. I looked on the website and got a bit more information and a bit of a feel for the firm and thought they would be a really good fit for me, and then just kind of made the jump to apply. What about yourself?
I had heard about DTM from property transactions I was working on, so was aware of the firm, obviously in the local area. I knew about the firm's reputation, and then just looked on the website, and I remember seeing the video of all of the partners talking about DTM, and I just thought it felt like a really nice firm to work at, and I thought that I would fit in quite well here, so I just applied. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know that when I applied, there's a specific application form, so you don't just kind of send your CV in. It kind of forces you to tailor your application to what they're looking for, and it really kind of helped me break down my experience because they kind of had the prompts there. So I found that useful to kind of actually get myself thinking about my own experience and maybe things. I think there was a question about positions of responsibility that you'd held, and I kind of thought, well, I haven't really done anything yet. But then the prompts and the little kind of description underneath made me think, actually I have done stuff, like whether that was in school or different positions I had in university. They weren't necessarily positions of responsibility as I thought them, but I found those kind of prompts helpful.
Yeah, I think as well, like what you're saying, the kinds of questions that they asked, it kind of showed you what type of person the firm's looking for. And the more I wrote about myself, the more I thought, well, if this is the things that they're asking me, I think I'm going to be a good fit here. So I suppose it gave me a bit of a confidence boost when I did apply. The other thing that I liked, I don't know if you found the same, was most firms or other firms where I had previously applied or looked at applying, you apply and then you don't start until 2 years later, whereas this whole process was about 8 months or so from by the time you apply and then you start in the September. That was one thing that really stood out for me. Having to wait to start your training contract, you just kind of hit the ground running. Yeah,
I found as well that I had applied to a couple of other firms and they had said that because I didn't have my LPC yet, they weren't even kind of prepared to interview me at that stage, because my application went in the January and I wasn't finishing my LPC until that July. But obviously DTM were happy to see me and interview me, even though I hadn't actually obtained that qualification yet. The first interview I had was with the practice manager and the training partner, and that felt really informal and like they were just genuinely getting to know me. And then the second assessment centre that we had, I think it might be different now, but we had kind of a round robin style interview with several, I think it was 5 partners.
5 or 6.
And they each had kind of 10 minutes with us and 2 questions to ask. And it was a really nice way of meeting more of the partners at the firm. And I just found that I came away with a really good idea of the firm and what it stood for and what it would actually be like to work there. And we got the chance to speak to the current trainees as well, which gave another insight. So I felt I came away with so much information, and I felt like I really knew what I was going for then. And then obviously when you come later down the line on the first day, there's loads of familiar faces because you've kind of met 7, 8, 9 different members of staff, so there's plenty of people that you know. So I found the process really helped with the integration into the role.
Yeah, where you say about the first interview, that was kind of quite informal. I always remember coming away from that interview and like when like my mum or like my boyfriends would say like, how did it go? Sometimes you can't gauge, but I was like, even if I don't get it, I've had a really nice day.
Yeah.
And as far as interviews go, I know that's really strange to say, but I was like, it was just a nice conversation. It was really back and forth, and I think that kind of solidified my decision that like this firm's a good fit for me, because I think you've got to remember, like, although you want the training contract, and like at the time like that's the most important thing in the world, getting the training contract, but I think it's also important that the firm's a good fit for you. Like you should maybe see it as like your interview in the firm as well.
Yeah, it kind of works both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's how I saw it. Like I came away feeling like really positive, even if nothing came of it. And then, like you say, at the second part of the interview, I thought it was nice that you got to meet the current trainees in like a more informal setting and kind of get a feel for what they do day to day.
Yeah, and like I remember asking the trainees so many questions. So I was just so intrigued about kind of the step up, because it is a very different role to when you come from being a paralegal. So it was interesting to get their insight.
Yeah, I think I was quite quiet on the phone because I was in a bit of disbelief, and I'm pretty sure Sarah was like, "Laura, are you there?" I was just like, yeah, I think for me it was shock, because I'd applied at a previous firm quite a few times and just never been given the opportunity. So yeah, I think it was a bit of disbelief that I've been obviously offered one. Obviously happy. Yeah, bit of a mix of emotions on that day.
Yeah, I cried when Sarah told me.
I think I did, but I didn't want to admit that.
Yeah, I did cry because I didn't think that I was going to get it at all, because I didn't think, I just assumed everyone tells you that it's the hardest thing to get, and there are all these statistics about how many training contracts versus how many applications they get. So I was just kind of like, it's not for me, and I was really chilled about the whole thing until I had that last stage of the interview process, and I realised I really, really want this job. And I really could see myself at the firm and really liked everyone that I'd interacted with. And at that point I was like, oh, I actually really care. And then that whole week I was horrible to be around. I was so stressed. I was like my phone, every time it buzzed, I was like, is it there? But it wasn't. And then when Sarah phoned, I think I was just relieved. I don't know if I did anything to celebrate at the time. I probably went out for a meal with my family.
Yeah, I think I can't remember what I did. But I think as well for me, having that kind of rejection in like past years, it really gave me the confidence that like someone really believes in me, and like I'm finally gonna be able to take that next step that obviously you work so hard for. I think one of the most, it's not difficult, but something it's took me a while to kind of grasp is obviously the whole point of a training contract is you move seats and you rotate. Here we'll like work very closely with a partner and then maybe other members of the team. It's learning or working alongside different people and how different people work. And then like I feel no sooner are you settled in that seat and you think, I know what I'm doing, I get this, you move, and then you feel like you're learning all over again. And I don't know if it's just I put pressure on myself to feel like I should know like a whole new area of law on the first day, even though that's no one expects that of you. But I think that's the thing I've struggled with because I've come from somewhere where I've done the same thing every single day for however many years, and then one day I'm doing something like completely different.
I was going to say the exact same thing. That's what I had in my head as well. Going from kind of, it's just like a roller coaster, because you start and you feel like, gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. Then, like you said, you get to a point where you're like, oh wow, like I've got this. And then it's like, oh no, you're in a new seat and you have to start again. And it's also learning to work with different people. Every partner, every solicitor that we've worked with has a very different way of working. So it's getting used to that. So I think, although it was difficult at the time, I think you kind of come out the other side more well-rounded and having a better knowledge. And I also think it's helped with relationships within the firm, because we've worked in 3 different departments. If I need something in property, well, I've got colleagues in property that I worked with for 6 months that I sat next to, so I can kind of use those relationships to help in my current role, which I think's beneficial for everyone. I think for me, a few things that stand out. I did a week secondment at one of our big clients in London. I went down there and worked with them for a week, which was extremely challenging but very rewarding at the same time. We were on quite a tight deadline, and it was kind of something that we thought, this is never getting done. And we ended up doing it, and the client was very happy and sent us out for a nice meal, and that was kind of a moment where I was like, yeah, this is kind of all coming together now. And that was quite rewarding, and something that I didn't realise I would have the opportunity to be a part of. I didn't think that anyone would ever want me to do anything like that. But I think that's what's nice. You're kind of given here the level of responsibility that you want. You can kind of dictate it yourself almost. And we've both got caseloads now. And it's something that you just it just gradually happens. And I think at the beginning, I never would have thought I would be able to kind of, lead client meetings or deal with some of the things that we deal with. So it's nice to kind of reflect back and think.
Yeah, and it's nice to think that, like, just going back to what I said, like, you're in your seat for so many months, and it does seem like a short period of time, but when you sit and think back, when you first start, like, and you go, I've never done this before, I don't know what I'm doing, and then, like you say, holding your own client meeting within a couple of months of being in a team, I think it does show that, one, that you're capable, but two, that the firm really do, like, believe in your capabilities. And I mean, just speaking from, like, friends who have gone through training contracts at different firms, I don't think they're really given as much responsibility. Like, I don't think I've come across a trainee personally that maybe has done client meetings like we have and had some of the opportunities that we've been given.
I think it feels very supported though, in the way that with us taking client meetings, the partner that we work with is, very supportive of kind of, do you want me to sit in? Are you happy to go on your own? She'll chip in when we need it, and it's kind of slowly built up. It's not kind of like one day, here's a client, go and see them. It's very much like at your own pace, what do you feel comfortable with, and then gradually like building up your confidence in that way.
I would have expected to do a lot more kind of administrative tasks, which obviously they're equally important to the job, but I don't think, speaking from my experience, that I do a lot of admin. It really is like come in, hit the ground running, and like we just said, like dealing with all the stuff that you will when you're a solicitor, really.
I think as well, the level of support you get from the partners, I think you can ask any partner, to be honest, anyone in the firm, but I think I maybe assume that partners would kind of be closed off in their office, don't talk to them, I'm not kind of like important enough or whatever, but I think every single partner that I've worked with has been so happy to sit with me, explain anything that I want, and they're really kind of encouraging of your learning. You would never be kind of, there's never a stupid question, or there's never any expectation and kind of, why don't you know this? It's always that environment that encourages you learning.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone is like really approachable, not just partners, like everybody across the firm. Maybe a misconception I had was this is probably really cheesy, but like all work, no play. And I think coming here, there really is a strong emphasis on like a work-life balance. Like, I think if I was sitting late at my desk, obviously there's times where that has to be done. But I think if I was sat at my desk way past home time every night, I know one of the partners or someone would approach me and probably be like, why are you still here? Like, you don't necessarily need to. Like, staying late, that's not like encouraged. It's not the culture. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm not sure I had really ever thought about beyond actually getting the training contract. That was all I thought about. And I don't think it had actually entered into my head that I had to complete it. But yeah, I probably imagined it to be more similar to my role as a paralegal, and I thought it would just kind of be an extension of that, but I actually found it was a big step up.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in a bad way. It's been really great for my learning, but I did kind of think I would be doing those kind of admin jobs and I'd have a lot more focus on that. But I think now, especially coming towards the end of our training contract, I very much feel like a fee earner, and I think that's what, I remember one of the partners sat down with me at the start of one of my seats and said, like, we are training you to be a fee earner, and all the skills you learn along the way, from like the actual legal side of the job to things like time recording, file management, dealing with client correspondence, it all kind of comes with time.
Yeah.
I think there are definitely challenges, especially when you care about the job and you want to give every client everything, and sometimes that's not possible, but I think it's nice. We have a really supportive team around us, and there's always an open conversation about capacity and what's going on, what can be prioritised, who can help with what, and it does just feel like a big team effort.
I think there's a big emphasis on like networking, which wasn't expected of me as a paralegal, and whilst when I was asked to go on like a first networking thing, I was kind of like, oh my god, I can't do this, I can't speak to strangers and like not sell yourself, but you know, do you know what I mean? I think with there being like a strong emphasis on networking and like you being encouraged to go out, it goes back to what you were saying on your first day or within your first days when someone said to you, we're like training you to be a fee earner. And I don't think I appreciated that that's part of the job. And it's only by going to these different events and meeting different people from different professions and at all different stages of their career, you realise that this is quite a big part of the job, and by being encouraged to go on like events like that, it has helped with my confidence, I'd say.
I think with the professional development side as well, obviously that's a requirement once you become a solicitor. So that's always been really encouraged by the people that we've worked for to kind of, attend these webinars, seminars and courses and anything we can kind of get our hands on really. It's always been encouraged that we are getting into the habit now of doing the professional development and continuing your learning. I think that's maybe something that I didn't realise, that nobody knows everything. There's always room to learn. I just kind of assumed that, solicitors just have all of the answers. But it's nice to know that there's always learning to be done. I think the team that we work with is really nice. I really enjoy the team that we have, and it's really important that you enjoy being at work because you're at work for so long, so much of your life. So I think the team and the relationships that you build, and again I think that's with being a trainee, you have the benefit of having relationships in all of those departments. I think that's a nice part of what we do.
I think, not to it's probably quite cheesy, but like the firm as a whole, like there's no one that I don't get on with. Like I've had a conversation probably with everybody in the firm. As we said before, everyone's really approachable, and I feel like even when you're just like in the kitchen, everyone really takes an interest. What did you do the weekend, or how are you getting on here, and stuff like that, which is really nice. I think that probably puts a smile on your face. You think like, oh, they remembered that. That we spoke about weeks ago. It's just like a really nice. It's just a nice atmosphere.
I think I always had an inkling that I wanted to do private client, and I think that became apparent in my first 2 seats, which was commercial property and litigation, where the client contact was minimal, and I just felt like that piece of the job was missing. And when I went into private client as my 3rd seat, having the level of client interaction that we have, I just found the work kind of seemed more fulfilling when you know the clients and you know who you're working for, and you feel like you can add value into their lives, and you can, provide them with a service that's really going to impact them and their families. I find that really like meaningful work.
Yeah, that's probably my reason, although I never realised I wanted to do private client. I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. I'd always done litigation, so I didn't really know any different. And I think the beauty of being in a firm of this size and having that many different departments, you have the opportunity to try different things. And it's only when I, did my seat in private clients that, like you just said, I thought, I really have been missing out on like the client interaction, and that's what I really liked. And just like knowing that I don't know, it's just like that sense of bit of like fulfillment. I think the clients are really nice.
I think it's nice as well that our kind of preferences were taken into consideration. We had a seat review at the end of every seat, so we could kind of say, actually, I'd really like to try this area, or this area is probably not for me. So the fact that we could kind of give our preferences, and they were listened to, that was really nice. That we could kind of have a little bit of choice with where we wanted to go. And you have to try the different areas to know what they're like, because it's so different in practice to what you do in the LPC or in your degree. So I think you do have to be in that department for a good few months to actually get a feel for the work day to day, because I think it's really hard if you don't have that.
I think for me as well, I knew I definitely wanted to try like non-contentious seats, because I'd only done contentious work and I just didn't want to qualify into a contentious area and never having done anything non-contentious and then thinking, have I made a mistake? I've never tried it, that could be for me. And obviously it turns out that I don't want to do contentious stuff, so I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to try something.
I think that's encouraged as well, isn't it, to make sure that you see both sides. I think it's important.
For me personally, I would probably say don't give up, because I know you were saying before, you're kind of led to believe it's hard, and it is. I feel like I'm proof that it is hard and it doesn't always come easy, but don't give up. Like, believe, like, it does sound really cheesy, but like, believe in yourself and have the confidence, because like, you will get there. It's like a full motivational speech. Oh my god.
I think, as I said before, I probably didn't actually think about the training contract itself. I just thought of the process, and once I had it, then that would be it and I'd be sorted. But as we know now, there's a lot more to it. But I think you just need to make sure that you pick the right firm for you, a firm that aligns with your values, and just have confidence in yourself. You're not expected to have all of the knowledge, know all of the answers at the beginning. And I think, you just have to kind of keep going and trust the process. And, I think maybe a year ago, I was kind of like, I'm not ready to qualify, a year to go, I was panicking a little bit, but kind of as I'm approaching it, I'm like, no, I'm ready now.
Yeah.
So I think, you just have to trust the process.
And also know that it goes so quick.
quickly.
Like everyone says, oh, it'll fly by, it goes really quick. And you think, I think from the day you get offered it, you're like, oh my God, no. It's like, nearly 2 years until I qualified, and honestly, it just goes so quick. Like,
there's obviously kind of the approach that no question is a stupid question mark. I don't know if you said it. It wasn't someone at this firm, I think it was on a podcast I listened to, that said there's no such thing as a stupid question, but there is such thing as a lazy question. So I think if you're going to a senior solicitor or a partner and you want to take their time, which they're more than happy to give, I think for me, I always think it's my duty to make sure I'm fully researched as much as I can. I've got a specific question. I can say, like, I always kind of try and bring a solution as well. This is what I think. How would you approach that? Do you think that's correct? And have a chat about it. So I kind of like to not come empty-handed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this video, why not head over to the DTM Legal website where you can find out more about our Trainee Solicitor programme.